Let's talk about the real stuff, why we came here. The bank bypass blueprint, how to fund your deals. Don't have to jump through the bank hoops, don't have to beg Aunt Sally or friends for a loan, okay? And this is really, really important because if you get this part wrong, you're gonna have limited options out there in the market, in the streets, okay? You're going to need more leads. You're gonna have to spend more, you have to work harder for them. You're gonna lose to the competition if you don't have these options. Ultimately, you're gonna leave money on the table. But if you get it right, you've got more opportunity, okay? You've got less marketing effort and expense. You've got an edge over the competition. And you get to seize every single moment, okay? So I'm gonna continue to ask for a little bit of participation. Raise your hand if you agree to participate. Cool, all right, super. So I know that some of you are gonna participate and you're gonna say something so amazing that it's gonna be worthy of a standing applause and we're all gonna have to like refrain from standing up and clapping. So instead, if we had to do that, it would be like, we'd be here all day. So what we'll do is we're just gonna give everybody a simple clap. We call it giving them some love. So I'm just gonna count it down. I'll say, let's give them some love. 3, 2, 1, and you go, got it, perfect. And your name is? Kelly. Kelly, where are you from, Kelly? New Jersey. New Jersey, let's give New Jersey some love. 3, 2, 1. Good, all right. So you get to seize every moment. Who wants that? Who wants to be able to seize every single moment? Perfect. Why do you want it?
Take care of my kids.
Take care of your kids. Who else had their hand raised? Right here. Mitchell, why do you want it?
Be able to live life to the fullest.
Live life to the fullest. I love it. Let's give him some love. 3, 2, 1. Mitchell, some love. 3, 2, 1. Who else? Why do you want this? We don't want it? Yes. Tired of being broke. And your name is? Let's give James some love. 3, 2, 1. Sweet. All right. So there's 3 components to this. There's 3 ways you can bypass the banks. First way is seller financing, okay? Seller financing. And then we'll go over unconventional financing. And I don't know if we'll have time today, but the third one would be corporate financing. That could be a whole day all by itself. But I'm going to get through as much of it as I can with the time that I've got. All right, super. All right, so seller financing. Haven't done this presentation before, so I don't know what's next. Okay, so you need 3 things. First thing, for seller financing to work, you need seller motivation. All right? Every deal, the foundation of every deal lies within the seller's motivation to sell. If there's no motivation, there's not going to be a deal. Okay? So typically what we're used to as motivation is the seller's experiencing some sort of problem. They've got a certain level of distress going on. It could be financial distress or personal distress. Maybe the property itself is in distress. So they've got a problem, and that's why they would even consider selling to us at a discount and selling it fast. But when it comes to seller financing, the other type of motivation that you can experience that you probably haven't experienced before is the opportunity for them. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But no motivation, no deal. Number 2, you have to know your minimum cash standards. Okay? You have to know your minimum cash standards for this to work. Meaning, if you were to get out of bed, go generate a lead, talk to that lead, put it under contract, go through the whole process of closing that deal and collecting the check, what's the minimum amount of money you would accept to do all of that work? Okay? So, and your name is? Andy, right here in the front row. What's your minimum cash that you would accept to do all of that work? $1,000. $1,000. You do all that work. Perfect. Okay? Andy would do $1,000. What's your minimum cash? Deal. 5,000? Good. And you, what would be yours? 10,000, right? Which one was right? They all were. You get to choose. You got that? Let's give everybody some love for that. 3, 2, 1. Sweet. All right, so you have to know your minimum cash flow. All right, so here's the cash formula. This is what I call my quick and dirty math formula. You take ARV minus the repairs minus the profit. That equals your maximum allowable cash offer to a seller, okay? So whatever your minimum cash standard was, it's this number that goes right here, the profit, okay? You get to plug in 1,000, you get to plug in 5,000, you get to plug in 10,000. You get to plug your number in there. Do you understand that? So you have to know what that number is for yourself. Because if you don't, then you won't know if you have a real deal or not. Second thing is you got to know your minimum cash flow. If you're going to hold on to the property, what's the minimum amount of monthly cash flow you would take on for that responsibility? Okay? Drew, is that your name? Nice. I saw this hat, and that'd be really weird if it wasn't, right? Right. Drew, what's your minimum monthly cash flow to manage a property? What would you take?
300 a month.
300 a month, perfect. And you? 250. And Jeff and Drew, perfect. And you, what would be the minimum number you'd take? 200, perfect. So which one was right? They all were. You get to choose, right? Let's give them some love. 3, 2, 1. Sweet. So here's the formula that I use. You take rent times 60%, the monthly gross rent times 60%. That's my quick and dirty math formula. I go back later and I confirm all the numbers, but to determine whether I got a deal or not, and so I get in the ballpark with my offer, that's what I'm using. And what I do with that 40% that's missing, that's for taxes, insurance, vacancy, maintenance, and property management, okay? If you're going to manage the property yourselves, you could probably use this 70% instead of the 60%. Minus the debt service, so if you have any mortgage or any loan on there, that's going to equal your monthly cash flow, okay? So right now, real quick, does everybody, I didn't know if we even prepare you guys for this. We need a piece of, everyone's going to need some paper to write on. Raise your hand if you need some paper. Can we get some paper? We need one over here. Everybody else got something? Okay. Write down you could probably, no, you can't write on the tablecloth. Write down your minimum cash and your minimum cash flow. We have some paper back here somewhere. You got a piece? Okay, perfect. All right. We're good. Anybody else need anything to write on? You're going to need some room because we're going to do a little exercise. Okay? All right. So write down your minimum cash number and your minimum cash flow number. Okay? If you're going to flip the property, how much profit do you want to make? Okay? Cool. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about terms. We're laying the foundation for what we're going to go through, and you guys it's going to be a big, giant awakening here in a second. Terms. We all know what price is, okay? That's the price we pay for the property. But how we pay that price is the terms, okay? And as real estate investors, you want to now position yourself and place yourself in the mindset that I purchase property in one of two ways, either by my price and the seller's terms, or the seller's price and my terms. As long as I can control one of those things, I can always make a deal for myself. You got that? So you just got to control one. If you control both, that's fantastic. But as long as you can control one of them, you can always make a deal for yourself. Okay? And this is how they work together. So we've got price and terms in this little balancing act. So we have a discounted fast cash offer is going to meet right there in our little spectrum. So the discount, that would represent the price, and the fast cash, that represents the terms. That's how most people go out and they try to negotiate the purchase of a property. They're trying to get as deep a discount as they can so they can give them some fast cash, right? But if you were going to give them more money, the terms would just be longer. It wouldn't be the fast cash, right? So those work in relationship to each other. So the lower the price, the faster the terms. The higher the price, the longer the terms. Do you understand that? Cool. All right. So let's go over some terms that you're going to be able to use. Examples of terms. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of text up here. Don't worry about feverishly writing this down. I've seen some of you already. I should have told you this before, so I apologize. I will give you all the slides so you don't have to write it down, okay? So just write down the notes of what's not on the slides for yourself. So term number one, payments. So a payment is the trade of value from one party to another to fulfill a legal obligation. Okay? Amortization, another term, the reduction of loan value over a set period of time. Interest. Interest is a payment from a borrower to a lender of an amount above repayment of the principal amount borrowed at a particular rate. Principal, a capital sum earning interest due as a debt. Credit, the provision of money, goods, or service with the expectation of future payment. Down payment, a part of the full price at the time of purchase with the balance to be paid later. Balloon payment, a final payment that is much larger than any earlier payment made on a debt. Moratorium, an authorized period of delay in the performance of a legal obligation or the payment of a debt. Profit share, payments to principals in a transaction that depend on the profitability of the transaction. Option, A contract that offers the buyer the right but not the obligation to buy a property at an agreed upon price during a certain period of time or on a specific date. Lease, a contract by which one party conveys property to another for a specified time, usually in return for a periodic payment. Lease to own, a contract that combines elements of a traditional lease agreement with an exclusive option to purchase. Carryback, when a seller acts as the bank or lender and carries a mortgage on the subject property. Subject to, buying a home subject to the existing mortgage. While title is transferred to a buyer, the existing mortgage stays in place where the buyer takes over the payments. Deferral, a postponement of an action or event. Deferred interest, deferred profit, deferred down payment. Alrighty? So those are terms. That might have been a little bit boring or painful to get through, but this is where the real power is in creating wealth with real estate, okay? And we'll go through this right now. We'll go through the actual deal structure. Oh, if you want the slides so you don't have to write all those terms down, just text the word finance to 310-818-7962. Okay, 310-818-7962. The word finance. All right, I'll show that up again a little later if you missed it. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this house. This is our assumption. We've got fair market value of $100,000. The seller is asking $95,000, and it rents for $1,100. Okay, there's no mortgage, no repairs needed. Okay, house is owned free and clear. So let's look at different combinations of price and terms of what we could offer this seller, of how we could purchase this property. Remember, you want to control price or you want to control terms. As long as you control one, you can always create a deal for yourself. So for an example, we'll make it really simple and we'll get a little bit more sophisticated as we go. So the price I might offer for this is $60,000. The term being cash. Y'all follow me? Got it? Okay, good. Or I could give them a little bit more money. I could give them $70,000 with the terms being, I'll give you $7,000 down, $63,000 at 5% amortized over 30 years. So those are terms, okay? Or I could give them a little bit more money. I could give them $80,000 with $10,000 down, $70,000 at 4% interest-only monthly payments, balance due in 10 years, okay? So every time I offer a little bit more, the terms actually get better for me. $90,000 price, because the seller wants a higher price, so we're going to go for the terms. I could offer $15,000 down with $75,000 divided by 150 equal monthly payments. Okay? You see in all the different terms that we just went over, all the different definitions are appearing in here, right? Or I could give them $120,000 for this $100,000 house. I'll give you 20 grand down, $500 a month, 6-month moratorium on first payment with remaining balance due in 15 years. Why would I pay them more than what the fair market value is of this property? Anybody have any ideas? Inflation? Let's give them some love on that. 3, 2, 1. Yes? What it's going to be worth in the future? That could be. Absolutely. Let's give them some love on that. 3, 2, 1. What else? Yes, Mitchell. Say again? Yeah, absolutely. It's the same thing. Let's give Mitchell some love on that. 3, 2, 1. Y'all still awake? Let's give you some love. 3, 2, 1. That was even softer for yourself. Okay, good. What was that? What else? It's all about the cash flow. Absolutely. Let's give him some love on that. 3, 2, 1. There's something specific I'm looking for. No interest is a really good one. And here's what that means. If you were to purchase a property in a very traditional way, just pay full market value for it, and went to an actual traditional bank and got a conventional loan, you'd put 20% down, and you'd have a 30-year bank mortgage at about 6%, okay? The total paid after 30 years is $182,760. So now is $120,000 a discount if there's no interest on it? It's a discount, okay? Because we got $120,000 with the $20,000 down, $500 a month, getting massive cash flow at $1,100, 6-month moratorium on first payment. We don't have to make payments for 6 months with the remaining balance due in 15 years, okay? So you take $500 a month times, let's add a year, 60,000 times 15. We might have paid too much for the house, right? So, or 6,000, my bad. I had an extra zero on there. But you get it, right? So you can overpay, that's what I'm saying. I just want you to see that as long as you control the price or the term. So if the seller was unreasonable and wanted $120,000 for their house, it'd be great. How many payments can I break it down into? Okay? All right, so here we are. Back to our different price and terms. So what I would like you to do, I'm going to give you a song. We're going to take one song. And I want you to come up with at least one way that you would be able to pay for that property. I want you to come up with a price and the different terms that you would come up with. So my DJ is going to play us a song and work your way through at least one example, and then we'll compare when we're all done, okay? All righty. So who has one done that they're willing to share? Yes. All right, what do you got? And your name is, again, Lauren. In the front row. Got it.
So I just did asking price, give them what they want.
Okay.
$95,000.
Give them 95,000.
I'm doing $0 down.
Zero down.
5-year balloon with an option to pay in full in 2 years.
5-year balloon with an option to pay in full 2 years on a 30-year amortization.
And then I just wrote down 4% interest, so they're getting a monthly payment of like $453.
Uh-huh.
My cash flow is $647.
Love it. Let's give Lauren some love on that. 3, 2, 1. Sweet. Who else wants to share? Great example. Yes. And your name is? Melissa. Go.
So I did $80,000 with $10,000 down, a $300 monthly payment, balloon in 10 years, figuring inflation of the house will be worth more.
Mm-hmm.
I maximize on cash flow.
I love it. Let me see that again. We got
10 down,
$10,000 down,
$300 a month payment to her,
$300 a month payment,
and a balloon in 10 years,
balloon at 10,
and a 5% interest. I figured amortization of that.
at a 5% interest. Give her some love on that. 3, 2, 1. Give me one more. Who else has got one? One more? Okay, raise your right hand. Say, I will participate. Thank you. Let's give you some love. 3, 2, 1. Y'all promised earlier. Okay, one more example. Yes?
$120,000, 5% down, $400 a month for 20 years with a balloon payment.
Awesome. Let's give him some love on that. 3, 2, 1. Mitchell, you got one.
We came up with, one of the answers we came up with was 70 grand at 10 grand down with 3% for 30 years.
$70,000, 10 grand down at 3% for 30 years. Let's give Mitchell some love on that. 3, 2, 1. Sweet. All right. Anybody hankering and eager to share? Okay, cool. All right, so we had what, 3 or 4 different options there, right? So what you just created is probably the most powerful tool in my arsenal that has built my entire portfolio without ever getting a bank loan, without ever using my credit score. Okay? And that tool is what we call a 3-option letter of intent. Okay? So I would prefer to have the equity every single time I go in and negotiate a property. And that's pretty much what everybody else goes in to do as well. But if they can't reach an agreement, they walk out of that house or off that property with no deal. I can almost always create a deal because I can start playing with the terms. Remember, as long as the seller motivation is there, okay? We talked about that in the beginning. The foundation of every deal lies within the seller's motivation to sell. So I don't give up at the price. If they don't give me my price, then I start giving them closer to their price and offering the terms. And I like to leave this behind, this 3-option letter of intent with them. And I call back the next day, Mr. Seller, I am sorry we weren't able to reach a total agreement yesterday, but I did leave you that 3-option letter of intent. Which one did you like best? Option 1, 2, or 3? And they'll answer, right? They'll say 1, 2, or 3. And I'll say, okay, should I put that in a formal agreement? I could come over and get that signed today. Right? That's one way it goes. The other way it goes is none of them. I say, great. Which one was closest? And they say, well, number 2. Great. How far apart are we? And if we can now turn that into a new negotiation, But most people are leaving their money on the table. They walked out, damn it, didn't get a deal. They won't follow up, and they got to move on to the next lead. They got to generate more leads to create that opportunity for themselves. But I took 5 more swings at the bat by doing it this way, and 5 more swings at the plate by doing it this way, right? So you worked hard. You spent money on that lead. You worked hard for that appointment. You went over there, you took time away from your friends, your family, or maybe you took time and snuck out from your day job. You went over there, you toured the property, you built the rapport, you did everything you're supposed to do. You got to be compensated for that, okay? So as the market that we're going into, that I shouldn't say absolutes because I have no clue or idea. I do know, though, a recession at some point will happen again. I know potentially a depression will happen again. If this, what we're dealing with right now in our society, is going to be the cause, then so be it. If not, something else is going to. So you want to put this in your toolbox. You want to be ready. I would start using it right this second. It still works today. The other way that we use it is we'll use it as a direct mail piece. Right now I'm going through, I just moved to Las Vegas from Los Angeles, and I'm going through the multiple listing service, looking at every property that's owned free and clear, that's been on the market more than 90 days. Because any house in this market that's been on longer than 90 days, there's an issue. There's something wrong with it. Okay? And so I'm sending this letter with a nice little cover letter saying, hey, I know you've been on the market for a long time. You're probably waiting for your price. I'd be happy to give you a price if you'd be willing to wait for some payments over time type thing. And that's like the pitch. So I'm using it as a direct mail piece. So I use it as a follow-up for my appointments. I use it as a direct mail piece. And then, actually, this is a new way I just learned from actually one of my clients, Josh Miller, who I coached through this whole process. When I met him, he was doing about 1-2 deals a month. And he quickly ramped up and did 1 to 2 deals a week. And what I asked him, like, what was the big shift? He says, well, you know that little 3-option letter of intent that you gave to me and you taught me, showed me how to use? And I said, yeah. He goes, well, I just went through my entire database, and every person that ever said no to me, I just sent them one. And that turned into a normal practice of his business. I just sent it. They said no, I sent it to them. And it's a lost deal. I got nothing to lose. Send it. This is a number that I had trouble believing, but it's what he said, and I've seen his stuff. In 18 months, he totally retired from real estate because he had 81 cash flowing properties supporting him, and he's gone out to supporting himself. He's gone out to start his own software company because that was his real passion. So he's used real estate to fuel his passion. And that one practice resulted in 51 extra deals. It resulted in half of his production that year. That's 2018. Okay, so those are 3 different ways that you can use this. Now with this, a lot of people can say, yeah, that's cool, it's great. I want to go ahead and use it, but then they get kind of nervous to do it. But the 3 benefits of it was more discounted offers accepted. Oh, that's the other thing. That was the third scenario, is when you leave them with that 3-option letter of intent, the third thing that could potentially happen, either they'll say 1, 2, or 3, or they'll say none, or they will come back and say, you know what, I don't really want to wait for my money. I'll just take option 1, that all cash offer. Okay? And that's what Josh had most of the time. That's what made me think of it just now. All right? But you get more discounted offers accepted, you get more seller finance deals, and you get more deals done overall. So let's go through this. Let me ask real quick. What have you found most valuable so far? Let me just check in, make sure you guys are even here. What have you found most valuable so far? Yes, it's John, right? Yeah. $20, all right. Found the buck, $20. Let's give him some love for that. 3, 2, 1. Great. What have you found most valuable so far? What have you found most impactful? Yes? The creativity involved. Let's give him some love for that. 3, 2, 1. What else? One more. What have you found most impactful? Put the seller in the driving seat. Yes. Let's give him some love for that. 3, 2, 1. It's part of my training also that comes before this is that you'll make the offer the seller's idea. And if they think of it, then all of a sudden it's a great idea and they sign off on it, right? Yes? Oh, I thought your hand went up. Terms. Give them some love for that. 3, 2, 1. There's one more over here. What did you find most valuable? Don't be shy. I saw you raise your hand. The 3-option LOI. Perfect. Uh-oh, we went backwards here. Cool, let's give them some love for that. 3, 2, 1. Cool. All right, so a lot of people get nervous about this. They like the idea. Yes? Let's give them some love for that. 3, 2, 1. Sweet, thank you. All right, so letter of intent to purchase. Let's look at this, okay? Why you should not be afraid of this. Because a lot of people, they like it, they're jazzed about it, but then it comes down to that moment of truth for them to actually give it to the seller, and they freak out a little bit. They're like, uh-oh, what if they actually say yes, right? Well, first thing, don't put anything on there that you're afraid that they'll accept, okay? Make sure you're hitting your minimum cash or your minimum cash flow number, first thing. But let's look at this. First thing is, it's right there in the title. It's a letter of intent to purchase. It's not a letter of commitment. I'm intending to purchase this, okay? Then right here in this paragraph, it says, based off the information that you shared with me and what I was able to gather on my own from the local market conditions, I am prepared to purchase your property in one of the following ways. It doesn't say I'm going to. Yes, Melissa? Yeah. You can do it. You can do 4 if you want. You can do however you want. Here, no, I don't. The reason I do it this way, what confuses them, in my experience, if you're not skilled at this and you haven't gone through this process enough times, you'll confuse them if you try and present it all on the first appointment, right? Well, if you don't take that, I'll give you this. How about this? How about that? And all of a sudden they're like, whoa, okay? But I say, I'm sorry we're unable to reach a deal. What I can do is I can leave you with this 3-option letter of intent. You'll see there's 3 different ways I could purchase your property, some other ideas. My number's at the bottom. If you like anything, give me a call. And just leave it to and let them sit with it, and they'll look and they'll be able to read it.
And then the second thing is, do you give that letter of intent after you've had a dialogue and a conversation, or are you just sending out that looks like something down?
So there was 3 different ways, right? I'll use it as a direct mail piece, and that might be what I lead with. It works really well with absentee owners, because they might be tired of dealing with tenants, but they can see how they might still be able to get payments, right, and get cash flow. I'll use it as a follow-up piece for a failed appointment. Okay, so if I was unable to reach that cash agreement, that cash price, then I'll go ahead and leave it with them that way. And then the third thing is, now that I do this, I went through my whole database, now that Josh taught me, my own student taught me this, I just send it to everybody that says no to me. Yes, Mitchell. Let's give her some love for that. Good question. 3, 2, 1. Sweet. Yes.
I'm kind of fast moving and might sometimes have a drive to make an offer before even going to see the place. Do many sellers, or like a letter of intent, would many sellers like freak out over that? Like, oh, you don't even know what my place looks like and you're already giving me an offer. Don't you want to come see it? Because they might think it's too good to be true.
Yeah. Yeah, it could happen. There was a training that I did on a webinar before I came here. Who saw that? I was online and they did that. Okay, that was very much the setup for this. So there's a step that comes before this. Damon has got it recorded and edited. Go ahead and send him an email, I guess, or ask him how to access it, and I'm sure he'll give it to you. Okay? But it clears all that up for you. All right? Cool. But good question. 3, 2, 1. All right. So there's 2 things. Now there's your 3 options. And then even down here at the bottom, it says to close in 14 days or less, all we need to confirm is the current status of any encumbrances and repairs. Just a fancy way for saying I still get to do my due diligence before I'm committed. Okay? So this is not a formal agreement. It's not a binding contract. It's just a negotiating piece. And if they choose one, great. Should I put it down in a formal agreement? Come over and get your signature. Then it would be binding. Okay? So don't be afraid to use this. There is going to be a direct proportion to the number of deals you do to the number of offers you write. If you're not writing offers, you're not going to do deals. Okay? You could do everything right and be absolutely perfect all the way up to that point. You could have REI Blackbook running like a well-oiled machine and it's just doing everything for you. But if you're not writing offers, you're not going to do deals. Yes? I do. You can do whatever you want to do, right? You can put 3 options, and that's why I went through the practice. Everybody had a different option, and you put all three of those down, that would constitute a 3-option letter of intent. Absolutely. Let's give her some love of that. 3, 2, 1. On that note, I never try to buy a house over the phone. I have to see the house because I don't know if my offer is going to be right. I also would like the opportunity to build rapport. You can't underestimate the face-to-face rapport that can't be built over the phone. So if you're trying to buy houses over the phone, it can happen. It happens all the time. But I'm going to suggest that you might want to reconsider that and get to the property and build that rapport and actually see the property. Because there's a couple things that could happen. And I say this to sellers. Because they'll say, what are you going to give me for the house, right? I say, you know what? I would love to give you a price, but it'd be a shame if I gave you a price and after I saw the property, I wouldn't be able to back it up. But what would be even worse is after I saw the property, I could have actually given you more. So can I come over and see the house? Right? I got to get in. Okay? Yes, there's another question? Yeah. Yes.
When you first started, you didn't have any cash. What did you do? Did you do this first?
Good question. Let's give him some love of that. 3, 2, 1. Here's the deal. If I have, let's see, what was our numbers here? We had a good one over here. We're going to give $95,000 is what we're paying the price. Well, she's putting no money down, so that's not a good example, but I don't need any money for this. There was another one. Who had the principal-only payments, the long principal-only payments over here somewhere? Yes, that was you. Okay, good. So you had, how much, what, can you read it? 5% down, got it? Right. And then what were your payments? $120,000, 5% down, $400 a month for 20 years. Right. Okay, so that's $400 a month plus $1,100 in cash flow on your 5% down. So 5% down on that was to be what, $5,000, $7,000, something like that, $7,000, right? What's the ROI on that? What's the cash-on-cash return on that deal right there? Yeah. Well, the point being is it's $400 principal pay down, and you got the cash flow. So it's basically $1,100 a month minus so 60% of that $1,100. So let's say that puts us at what, $700, right? So $700 on $7,000 down is what return? So $700. You had 10 months, you get all your money back, right? Okay, so that's 100%. Let's just say it's 100%. Who would give me $7,000 for a 50% return on their investment?
I would, as long as I could guarantee it would come back.
Right? Here's the deal. I have it under contract, right? I have it under contract. It's secured by actual real estate. With those terms, there's probably not a better guarantee you're going to get. Because if you gave me the loan and I didn't pay, you could foreclose on me because now there's real paperwork in place. You got it? That's as strong of a guarantee as you can get. That was my point. That was the exercise earlier. There's no shortage of money in the system for a good deal. And that deal that you just structured is an amazing deal. I have a client right now, Michael Harger in New Jersey. Just got a very similar deal. He got 10% down on a duplex, and he got 5 years of principal-only payments. He's like, Matt, where do I get the 10% down? I said, I'll do it with you. I'm down for that deal. It's a smoking deal, right? So there's no shortage of the money in the system. So if you're having trouble finding the money, there's one of two reasons. One is you haven't shared it with enough people, or two, you don't actually have a deal. Okay? That's the only two reasons you're not going to find the money for it. Do you realize this? That there's another side of this industry that's not sitting in this room. Do I have any mortgage brokers in the room? Any lenders? Not one. Okay, I thought there'd be at least one. God, they used to be everywhere back in 2007, 2006. Do you realize, though, there's another event going on somewhere of mortgage brokers or lenders that are like, I need to put my money to work. I gotta find people with deals. Because they don't make any money unless they find you. There's a whole other side of this. They're trying to find you as badly as you're trying to find them. Does that make sense? They get up every single day, kiss their spouse goodbye, they go out to work, and they say, gosh, I hope somebody has a deal for today for me to give money to. Okay? So you have the leverage in the transaction. The deal is the hardest part to find. So once you've got the deal, the money's the easy part. Okay? You do it once or twice, you're like, God, that guy Matt, he was right. because it's an eye-opener for everybody that does it. And if you can't find the money, you don't have the deal you think you got. And that's actually good news, because if no one will give you the money for it, that's your second set of eyes on the deal, and someone else is telling you it ain't a deal. So it's better to miss out on a good one than it is to buy a bad one, okay? All right, what's next? So, just a little caveat. Let's see, I've got 2 minutes left, so perfect timing. A house with a mortgage. The whole time we've been assuming that this property is owned free and clear. If there's a mortgage on it, so now you're not buying the house, you're buying the equity. So now you're going to craft your price and terms on the equity in the deal. So if this house was $100,000 and there was a $70,000 loan on it, how much equity do we have? 30 grand, right? So now we're going to create our price and terms, our creative offer, on the 30,000, not the 100,000. Okay? So the wording is just a little bit different. I'll give you $20,000 cash for your equity, paid at closing, and then I'll pay all the closing costs and take over the payments and maintenance on the property. So that's a subject to deal. Okay? Or option 2 could be, I'll give you $10,000 cash for your equity paid at closing. I'll pay all the closing costs, take over the payments and maintenance, and then I'll give you another $10,000 and 500 equal monthly payments. Okay? So that's the only distinction. I like to go in and assume that every house is owned free and clear, because it's easier for the seller to understand, Melissa. It doesn't confuse them. Because then they'll say, well, I like option number 2, but I have this mortgage. How is that going to get taken care of? Ah, glad you asked. Now you can have this subject to conversation without it being all weird if you introduce that initially. Does that make sense? Just my experience. Okay? Just the way I do it. All right, so what's next? Oh, so this is Nathan. Hey, Matt. Nathan Price. Gonna need some volume here. You got it? So this is Nathan, and Nathan's another one of my students in Spokane, Washington, and he has really taken the whole 3-option letter of intent thing to new heights, and he sent this video just before my last event last year, and I just brought it along to play for you.
Hey Matt, Nathan Price here in Spokane, Washington. Just wanted to give you a quick update on where my business is since I've concluded my coaching with you. First of all, just want to tell you thank you so much for everything that you've taught me. You've really kind of paved the way for me to gather and garner the success that I've had. So past 12 months, I've done about 44 wholesale transactions with average profit margin of $9,000 to $11,000. Been able to, this has been accomplished primarily by the systems I have been able to put in place here. I got a couple VAs working for me. The biggest one has been my acquisitions manager. Been able to bring him on, brought him on at about April. He's been with me for a few months. There's a few hiccups along the way, but he's awesome. His closing ratio is pretty darn good. Definitely puts mine to shame. So I'm grateful that I was able to kind of leverage one of my weaknesses into a strength. So my focus kind of moving on is to gather more rentals. So this guy right behind me here, picked that up a few weeks back. I paid just about market value for it, about $9,000 down. It's going to need a little bit of work, and it should be able to rent out for $1,200 to $1,300. Picked it up for principal only payments, so seller financing, 15-year note, first 5 years principal only payments of $500 a month, and then after that the remaining balance will be amortized over 29 years with a 3.5% interest payment, so it brings the payments up to $508, I believe, and so it's going to rent out for $1,200 or $1,300. So the cash on cash return on that is very favorable. This came from a 3-option letter of intent that my acquisitions manager presented to the seller here. So that I'm going to be picking up more of these. Love these principal only payments. Anyways, thank you for everything you've done for me, everything that you've taught me. Sorry I can't be at the Epic Intensive. Make sure you tell everyone hi for me. All right, Matt, take care, and we'll chat later.
Cool. Cool. Let's give Nathan some love. 3, 2, 1. All right, so to your question, where do I get the $9,000? Right? We've got a cash-on-cash return of 96%. So who would do that deal, give me $9,000 for 43% return on their money? How about 30%? How about 20%? 10? Yeah. Where can you put $9,000 and get 10% anywhere in this world? You're really sharp, Mitchell. Let's give him some love on that. 3, 2, 1. Exactly. So if it's a deal, the money is not difficult to find. In fact, it'll find you. Okay? All right, so what's next? Unconventional financing. I'm about done, so if you didn't get this down, text the word finance to 310-818-7962. You'll probably want these next 2 slides that I'm just going to breeze over really fast. 310-818-7962, the word finance. All right, unconventional financing. One solution, Epic Funding Solutions. 100 plus lenders, 10,000 plus lending programs, all 50 states, all deal types, all credit profiles. You can get an instant downloadable proof of funds there. You can get that proof of funds letter at epicfundingsolutions.com. I use it for that all of the time. And this goes to one of our lending partners. You can go get if you're dealing with a realtor and they need a proof of funds, or if you're dealing with a more sophisticated seller, they need a proof of funds, you can go get it there, and it is backed by real money. And then once you got the deal contract signed, you take it to them, and they'll go ahead and start putting it together for you. All right, so Epic Funding Solutions, that's in one, unconventionally. Another site called NEWPRIVATEMONEY. It's a lending network of private lenders, family offices, crowdfunding platforms, and hedge funds and others. Believe me, there's money out there looking for your deals, and they come from all these different sources. They do residential and commercial. They have long-term, short-term, and they purchase, finance, rehab, construction, and development loans. Okay? They'll do all of those types of loans. That's at newprivatemoney.com. And then Epic Fast Funding, credit lines up to $250,000, 0% up to 18 months, funds available in as little as 7 days, ideal for rehabs and business operations. And if you go to epicfastfunding.com, you can get instant approval with just your name, phone number, and email without even talking to anybody. So it's a soft pull, no social security number, no weird conversations, no hoops to jump through. It'll just give you, say yes or no, and then you can choose how you want to proceed from there, okay? That's it. So if you want those slides, text finance to that number. And then if you haven't, subscribe to the Epic Real Estate Investing Show. I'm going to hang out for a minute, so if you got any questions, I'd be happy, but I am out of time. And so thank you for letting me be here. Hopefully you got something out of this, and hopefully it makes a difference. There's a Chinese proverb that says, to know and not do is to not know. Okay, so you learn some really powerful stuff for yourself right now when it comes to wealth creation and taking down more deals than you're probably doing right now, but you got to use it for it to work. Okay, so that's what I wish for all of you, is to actually get on the street and implement. The fact that you guys are right here today in this environment tells me you are action takers and you take this seriously. So the best favor that you could do for me is to actually do it and then just share with me when it works.